Welcome to Allie's Attic, where you never know what kind of surprise you'll find in my attic. I'm your host, Allie, and today my surprise is a vocalist, songwriter, and musician hailing from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. A Canadian, yes. Hello, Shaune. Mr. Shaune Walt.
Hi, Allie. How are you?
I am good. How are you, sir?
I'm very well.
So I know of you. I think we got to know each other a little personally, like the last couple days, anyway. And I've listened to your music, obviously. I love it. I'm so proud when I have Canadians on. You have no idea. So basically, what I want you to do, Shaune, is tell us your story, the genre of music, and where you want to go from here, and just, your journey.
Okay. Well, I guess for lack of a better term, I'm a mixed breed. I grew up in a household that predominantly played country. Mm-hmm. And when I say country, I don't mean Dixie Chicks or, Brad Paisley or Keith Urban. I mean like Alabama, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Kenny Rogers.
Ooh, the good ones.
Murray, that country. Mm-hmm. So when I grew up, I had never heard of Aerosmith or Guns N' Roses or any of these bands until I got to high school. And when I got to high school, I never really heard those bands until probably when I finally hit college. So growing up, I learned how to sing, I learned how to write music by listening to these artists who told stories and tried to have substance to their music, tried to either provide some sort of a message in it or tell a story or both to, entertain the audience as opposed to laying down a beat at 130 beats per minute and talking about last night at the club. So, not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a place for that. Van Halen made a really, really good number of albums based on that in the 80s and did really, really well. Mm-hmm. But you have the option of doing that or being like a band like Soundgarden that is all over the place and doesn't pigeonhole themselves and does whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
And fully sings and screams and does everything to, embody the emotion of a song. So, growing up listening to country, my first real, representation of anything aggressive or more of the new spectrum of things was like Garth Brooks.
Wow.
And that kind of changed how I looked at music. It didn't change how I wrote music, but it changed how I could see it and what else I could do with it. Mm-hmm. The different tones you could get from electric guitars just by listening to Garth. Mm-hmm. And then, that predominantly throughout my teenage years, even at that point, I didn't start playing guitar until I was probably 12.
Wow.
I had to steal the guitar from my dad because I basically wasn't allowed to have a guitar.
Okay.
And the reasons for that are still beyond me. I don't know exactly what my parents were thinking in that regard. My dad had a guitar. He's a phenomenal guitar player. He never picks it up, but it blows my mind every time he picks it up. And it's like, wow, you could shred Brad Paisley.
Oh, wow.
And it just boggles my mind. It's like he's an idiot savant because he can not play for 15 years and pick it up and destroy anything that I could even think about doing.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You should have him in your band.
I had to steal this guitar at 12 years old and put it under my bed and started learning how to play guitar and writing songs, and my parents were out. And after a couple of years, it kind of came out that I was doing so, and I started playing shows and writing songs that were, a cross between what you could think of as folk with a little bit of a rock aspect, but like still country lyrics, introspective lyrics, trying to, get out my teenage angst, but without screaming, "I hate you."
Exactly.
So, after doing that for a while, playing with just a bunch of different artists here in Peterborough, because that's where I'm from. I kind of started going. I went off to college. One of my roommates there, my buddy Steve, he was in doing DJ, so broadcast journalism, but radio. So kind of, like what you do. I had this guitar, and he had a guitar, so that was our, like, hey, man, you play guitar too? Cool, you're right across the hall, awesome. And then, so we start jamming one day, and he's got, like, this wall of CDs of bands that I'd never heard of.
Wow.
You know, Black Sabbath, AC/DC, Slayer, Guns N' Roses, just Alice Cooper, like The Who, Eric Clapton, Cream, like just a world of music. And like Barry Manilow, as an example, was one of the ones that he had in there that I actually recognized. You know, Jewel was in there. But there's all this other stuff that was just like an entirely different world. So over the course of about 72 hours, I tell people that I was corrupted into rock and roll. And it entirely changed how I played music. It entirely changed how I wrote my music. And at that point, throughout my early 20s, I started, you know, a bunch of different rock bands, you know, trying to kind of feel my way out, played with a bunch of really cool artists over the time, and they're all off doing day jobs and doing that kind of stuff, just like I am still, and rocking the, you know, the good side of an indie artist.
Mm-hmm.
But over the course of that, I think the most established thing that I ever got was a band called Fatal Assembly, and you can still find their tracks online. It's very heavy.
Okay.
It's very aggressive. You can actually understand the lyrics because I do sing, but I also scream when I growl. It would be like how Aaron Lewis has kind of took on this country vibe as of late, but you go back and you listen to early Stained albums, and it's like, that's the same Aaron Lewis who does Endless Summer.
I know, but he still has an incredible voice, I have to say. Like, I fell in love with him when he was doing country, too. But anyways, go on.
but at the end of the day, that's what he grew up doing, right?
Yeah,
and it wasn't
exactly.
until kind of he hit that teenage point where he started doing the heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what broke him. So Fatal Assembly went for 6 years. We played with any number of really great rock bands. I'm not going to name drop, but a bunch of them are signed, and they're all great guys. And when I see them, we still talk. They still have a great time. They come back to Peterborough. And they're great boys. But Fatal Assembly had its own issues, obviously, as some bands do.
Yes.
And the metal thing didn't happen. So I kind of started doing the solo thing, and then back in 2014, I started laying down tracks for the album that is eventually going to come out.
Okay.
Right now, we're kind of releasing, as you can probably find, you can find Rebel Sun and That Night online. You can find Hate, and if you go on to Hoozle or Musicoin, they also have It's Just Me, which is just specifically released to just those two guys.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's
I'm going to name
drop.
drop.
Relationship with them.
I'm going to name drop a little bit.
Okay.
You played with Section 8,
I did.
Heaven Down, and folk band Sesame.
Yes.
So, and you were also guest spots in numerous other bands. Now, This album that you're working on, it kind of encompasses a mixture of rock, metal, and country, which I love because, like you say, you're not pigeonholing yourself. I think that is a great thing about being an independent artist. You can do that. You know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want. Now, one of my questions is, like, is one of your goals, Shaune, to get signed?
Well, it's actually funny that you asked that. In a couple of weeks, I've been kind of throwing together a band with a bunch of my buddies who play, and, you know, just like me, still have the day job kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we have an option. We're showcasing for a record company.
Oh, wow.
So it's entirely possible we could get signed, we could get an artist development deal, they could pick somebody else. I mean, that's just the nature of that business. I think what my goal is at this point, I would love to be able to get to a point where I could play music and make music and that be my day job.
Yeah.
So that I could stay at home, you know, with my kids and, you know, and be home when they come home, play the shows, and you know, you understand that there's obviously, if you do get to a point where you're that successful, you're going to be doing the tours and you're going to be gone for 6 weeks at a time, but I think it's a little bit different when it's doing something that you love as opposed to something that you have to do to pay your mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So,
And yeah, I'm a firm believer, do what you love, not what you need to do, because otherwise you're not gonna have you only get one chance. Make it the best.
yeah, exactly.
Now, because you've kind of done all kinds of different things and you've been a musician for a while, if there was any kind of advice that you could give a new artist that was starting out, what kind of advice would it be, Shaune?
Well, one thing, if you're in Canada and you really want to make a serious go of it, and you don't have anything that ties you anywhere, like a family or kids, or you're a true independent person, get your butt either to a major city like Toronto or Ottawa or Vancouver, or if you're a dual citizen or you can get your passport, get your butt to the States.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah.
You got 40 million people here, you've got 400 million people in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, your buddy here might tell 10 of his friends, and one of them might check it out, and then he tells 10 of his friends, or he doesn't tell anybody. You tell somebody in the States, guaranteed they're going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody, because they talk, and they're on top of each other. It's not a situation where people have the space around them that we do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we're a very interconnected society. So if you want to make it in the music industry, that's really what you want to do if you have the opportunity. Otherwise, make sure your recordings are like top quality, because the worst thing that I was always able to look past it as a guy who can book and look for bands to play with and that kind of stuff, because I'm looking for the song. That's always been my goal. Is the song good? Can the guy actually do it? Yeah, it sounds like it was recorded in his bedroom on an 8-track, c'est la vie, but, is the song good? Mm-hmm. But if you want fans and you want people to buy it, you got to put the quality in.
Yeah. Yes.
So I hear a lot of recordings out there nowadays, and, my buddies will want me to hear stuff, and it's great songs, but the recording doesn't sound radio ready.
Yeah.
Most people won't listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. You're clicking, just so you know. I don't know why you're clicking, but your phone's clicking. It's no worries at all. Now, that is great advice. We were kind of talking about this before we started the interview, and I said it's so sad that, The Weeknd and Justin Bieber and Shania Twain and, whoever from Canada had to go to the States to become popular. It is the ratio of people, and it is how I think, I don't want to say, we're very humble people. You know what I mean? We're just by nature humble. But I wish somebody, a major record label or, music management company would realize the gold mine here, because it's insane. There is so much talent here. But anyways, okay, so now, what 2 songs are we going to hear of yours? I think you've already touched on them, but what 2 songs are we going to hear?
So I think we're going to hear That Night in My Truck, and in my truck, of course, being in parentheses.
Yes.
And then the other one, Rebel Son.
Yes.
So That Night is kind of a country-esque rock metal tune.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the whole 3 of them, we just crammed into a box to let them fight it out. Mm-hmm. And this is what you're getting out of it. Okay. I'm actually in the process of finishing a music video for this.
Oh, nice.
So I'm hoping... it's all, when you've got a 9-month-old baby and the 40-hour-a-week day job, and the wife's going back to work, and you're coming off parental leave, and all sorts of, the house is crazy.
Yeah.
So when I get, an hour and a half to sit down and actually do more editing and get this video done, then I'm just going to release it, and I'll be putting it up on my YouTube. Rebel Son, I don't know if we're going to do a video for it or not, or whether we're just going to toss together some sort of a live thing, because we have a lot of options for that, but It'll be the other song that you're going to hear, and it's kind of more of a southern rock feel. And didn't really start out that way, but it kind of went the way that it was supposed to, I guess. It kind of took a life of its own, which is kind of cool.
Well, and they're both great songs. I will say that Night in My Truck I love. I absolutely love it, just so you know. Now, this album, you're hoping, like, have you released the full album?
No.
No, so it's going to be late September 2017.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're going for. The joy, the question, there's so much stuff that's so close that I want to say yes, late September, like this year, like right soon here. It could push into October, it may be early November at the latest, but I guess the reality here is that I'm not going to pull a tool and wait 6 years or 7 years or a decade or two lifetimes to go and release another album. I'm going to get something out here, but I want to make sure that when it comes out, it sounds the way that I want it to.
Perfect. Yeah, and that makes so much
sense. The joy
sense.
of being an independent artist is the fact that you can actually sit down with the producer and go, can we make that a little bit louder? Can we cross that back and forth? Can we change that? All those things to get it to sound like it does in my head.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the great things about being independent. There's so many things. But anyway, now you can purchase your music anywhere you can purchase online music. Also your website, which is shaunewalt.com. Now there'll be a link up on my website, so people can just click on it, go to your website, find out more about you, about your music, and get to know you better.
Absolutely, yeah, and hook up with me on Twitter or on Facebook. I got a group on there that's just me, and I respond to everybody. I got weird messages from all sorts of different people all over the place, and
don't we all?
I enjoy talking to all my followers. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's great. That's another thing I love is I don't even care if they're signed in big stars. Just keep in touch with your people, like really you. Be really you, not have a staff that does that for you. This isn't a one-shot deal either, Shaune. Like, if you want to come back when your album's released and talk about it, you can. If you release another single and you want to get it promoted, you can just send it my way. I'll throw it up on my website and help promote it that way. And also on Wednesdays, I have a show called Allie's Artisan Alcove, where artists that I've had on come back and perform 4 songs. Obviously, it's pre-recorded. You can do it either video or audio. So that avenue is there for you as well. And I wish you the best success in the world. I have every Canadian artist I have on, my hope is to see you up on that stage getting an award. You know what I mean? Like a Grammy or whatever. That is my hope. And I know you have a baby, and I know you have a job, and you're really busy, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on my show, Shaune.
Well, and Ollie, thank you for having me on it, because if it wasn't for you guys who are promoting us independent artists, it wouldn't happen. That's the reality. The mainstream media, as much as the mainstream media doesn't want to hear it, you're very right. Like, the record companies are not looking for us, so it's nice when guys and girls and people of all different creeds want to actually promote independent stuff and promote their fellow artists and musicians to, help them succeed. So Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, no problem. Anytime. And thank you for joining me on Allie's Attic. Keep checking my website, because you never know what kind of surprises you'll find in my attic. Cheers.